Hey, what's up, everyone? So I was watching the C-SPAN book TV, and they were talking about this book right here, More Than a Score. Seems like a really interesting book. It's the new uprising against high-stakes testing. And I guess this movement is gaining traction. There's a lot of people upset with the educational system. So I just want to share some of the things that they were talking about last night. And the editor for this book, Jesse Hagopian, was talking about his fourth grader was going to school, and it was an international school here in America, and it spoke Mandarin, Spanish, and English. So, of course, there's nothing wrong with immigration and, people of all races. It just shows how we're moving into more of a globalized country. And so anyways, that's what it is. And one thing that he said that there was a bunch of politicians and prominent people from the community when this international school was opened, and they were giving a speech to fourth graders, and they were saying, you guys are going to be prepared for the global economy. Like what fourth grader is thinking about being a great worker in the global economy? That's like what these leaders are doing to the children. They want to make them not good little workers, and that's really what this standardized testing and this Common Core and all this stuff is about. If you look at these quotes right here from the Common Core State Standards Initiative, there you have a whole bunch. Craig Barrett, Intel Corporation. It's just a who's who of American business and political leadership. There's just the one that they brought out last night in this talk I want to share with you. We got Bill Gates right here. What's he have to say? With the state's release today of a set of clear and consistent academic standards, our nation is one step closer to supporting effective teaching in every classroom, charting a path to college and careers for all students, and developing the tools to help all the children stay motivated and engaged in their own education. The more states that adopt these colleges and career-based standards, the closer we will be to sharing innovation across state borders and becoming more competitive as a country. Okay, so there, to make the country competitive, we need these Common Core. Okay, the one they shared last night was this one right here, State Farm Insurance CEO. State Farm is pleased to support the Common Core State Standards Initiative. State-by-state adoption of these standards is an important step toward maintaining our country's competitive edge. With a skilled and prepared workforce, the business community will be better prepared to face the challenges of the international marketplace. Okay, so this is what it's about, huh? Making America competitive in a national marketplace. Not about creating a child's mind that can flourish with art and music and learn to think for themselves. A child does not need to know how to memorize the answer to a question. They need to know how to ask the question. Okay? And these kids were getting fed up with it. There was this one group of kids that they walked out of their school. They protested. The teachers walked out. They got a copy of one of the tests, and they went around their community and gave it to the lawyers, the doctors, and the business leaders and had them take the test. And 60% of them failed the test. Okay, so if this test and this knowledge is supposed to produce economic success, then why cannot the leaders of business and politics and stuff even pass the test now? They're still able to have economic success, and they can't do the test. Okay? And so, also, what they went into was this guy, Carl Brigham, okay? He was a professor at Princeton University, and his writings influenced the eugenics movement, okay? And he was the creator of the SAT test. Okay. If you don't know what eugenics is, eugenics was a movement that was going on, and I would argue is still going on, of getting rid of who the elite would deem the undesirables. They sterilized many people in California, people that they claimed were mentally handicapped. There was people, I believe, in prison were sterilized. They were still sterilizing women in prison just a few years ago. I remember seeing that on the news. And then you can go into the GMO in the food, the fluoride in the water, the chemtrails, the programming on TV and movies and video games to actually dumb down the people, just like these tests and these Common Core, to dumb down the people, which is, in a sense, attacking the people they deem to be the less fortunate. Okay, so these SAT tests, are really, if you look at the results, the families with the higher income do better on the test. So really, this is not a test, the SAT, to find the brightest students. It is a test to get the kids with the best income to move on to these positions of prominence. Okay, and also there's this program. Remember George Bush did No Child Left Behind? And here's an article from the New York Times, No Rich Child Left Behind. And what it talks about here is that it may not surprise you that children of the rich perform better in school. Okay? Middle class or poor families, they score better on average than children from middle class or poor families. Okay? Students growing up in rich families have better grades, higher standardized test scores than poor students. Okay? They have higher rates of participation in extracurricular activity, school leadership programs, higher graduation rates, enrollment. Okay? So here we see that kids with higher income families do better on these tests. Okay? So that's what we have. It's just the reality in this country. And so Obama changed that No Child Left Behind Act that George Bush did, and he actually changed the name of it to Race to the Top. And we can just read right here that that billions were paid off in 2001 to pass the No Child Left Behind Act, okay, which made the right-wing corporate agenda of undermining and ultimately privatizing public and educational national policy through standardized test scores, and were long known to prove little aside from student and family income. Okay? That's all they prove is student and family income. Kids with higher income do better on the scores. Okay? They suddenly became the gold standard for judging the teacher and school's performance. Okay? School districts were required to purchase and give dozens of costly, meaningless tests and to publish lists ranking their own schools and teachers as failing when the test scores were low, which was mostly wherever students were poor. Okay? And as this article goes into, Obama's race to the top drives nationwide waves of school closing, teacher firing. So when a student or a classroom does not do well on these tests, they fire the teacher. They don't say maybe we should fix the economy and give these kids' families enough money where it's a level playing field and all these kids can play basketball and all these kids can play football and all these kids can have food that doesn't cause ADHD and make them all hyper. Have all these kids could have healthy food and not broken families. No, let's not fix the real problems that are making these students not achieve. Let's fire the teacher. Who's probably the closest person to these kids that might actually really care, And so no, anyways, I was just watching this last night, and there's a lot of backlash against the standardized test and the Common Core from students, from teachers, from parents. I would definitely recommend reading this book. Looks very interesting, and just a sign of the times. That we are in a globalized economy, and public education is not conducive to learning. Really, it's for these tests to be taken is what the school is about now. And so there you go. Just some of my thoughts here on public education here in America. Thank you all so much. Peace.